Just about 35 years ago, there were a couple of young guys in their 20s who grew up in Long Island, New York. They'd been buddies since they were in junior high school, and they were having a really hard time getting their careers started. Just couldn't find themselves. Well, you know, this was the 70s, so if you grew up in the 70s, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But they just couldn't kickstart their careers, couldn't figure out what they wanted to do. So they got together and they said, hey, let's go into business together. Now, neither one of them knew anything about starting and building a business, and they didn't even know what kind of business they wanted to start. But they knew one thing: they really liked food. They liked to eat. So they decided that they would start a food business. And their favorite food was ice cream. So they pooled together their money and spent $5 on a correspondence course at the Penn State University, and they learned how to make ice cream. Then they pooled their life savings, which amounted to $8,000, got a $4,000 loan from the bank, and leased an old abandoned gas station in Burlington, Vermont. And they opened their ice cream store on May 5th, 1978. Now, I know by now you all know who I'm talking about, right? Ben Cohen and Jerry Greenfield. I mean, it's legendary. It's such a great, exciting entrepreneurial success story. And we love those kind of stories in the U.S. But think about it. You know, that story could have ended right there in Burlington, Vermont. If Ben and Jerry had done what most people do in business, and that's go into a commodity business, starting a business doing pretty much the same thing everybody else does, doing the same old stuff. Yeah, they might have churned out some pretty cool tasting ice cream, vanilla, chocolate, strawberry. Hey, maybe they would have thrown a little butter pecan in the mix to spice it up. And maybe they would have been really good at engaging their customers and making their customers feel special, building that loyal customer base. So much so, they might have even opened a few extra locations. Maybe even tried their hand at a little franchising. But at the end of the day, while they might have provided a good living for themselves and maybe for their families, their story itself would have been pretty average, pretty ho-hum. We certainly wouldn't be talking about them today. But instead, Ben and Jerry, who were pretty non-traditional guys themselves, instead of churning out the traditional kinds of products, they said, you know what, we're going to shake this up a little bit. And so they opened their ice cream store and started making ice creams, throwing in all these funky flavors. And pretty soon, people were lined up outside this old gas station to get Ben and Jerry's ice cream. Now, why was that? I mean, ice cream's ice cream, isn't it? Ben and Jerry did what I call just a noticeable difference. Just a noticeable difference. Ben and Jerry didn't invent ice cream. Ice cream goes all the way back to the Persian Empire. In fact, it was the Quakers who brought it to this country when our country was founded. George Washington and Ben Franklin and good old Tommy Jefferson, they're said to have been big fans of ice cream. And Dolly Madison, she insisted that it be served at her husband's presidential inauguration. They didn't invent ice cream. What they did was create just a noticeable difference. They gave the market a reason to change their buying habits. They gave the market a reason to choose their ice cream over everybody else's, because you couldn't get their flavors anywhere else. Just a noticeable difference. Now, I bet you all have your favorite flavor of Ben & Jerry's, right? What's your favorites? Yell them out. Who said Jerry Garcia? All right, there you go. Mine too. I love it. Love it so much, I can't even keep it in my house. If it's in the freezer and I walk by and I think, just one little spoonful, next thing I know, the darn carton's empty. I think the dogs get it. Jerry Garcia, absolutely a great flavor. But you know what's really interesting? Jerry Garcia was named after who? Jerry Garcia, right? Of the Grateful Dead. And Jerry Garcia is quoted as having said, "It's not good enough to be the best at what you do. You have to be perceived as being the only person who does what you do." The only person who does what you do. No one personifies that better than Ben and Jerry. If you want Jerry Garcia, you have to go to Ben and Jerry's. You can't get it anywhere else. Just a noticeable difference. Now, I work with businesses of all sizes all across the country. And I find that there are basically three mindsets. The first one is I call fat, dumb, and happy. Yep. Business is going along just pretty darn well. We're satisfied. Yep. You know what? Maybe we're going to have that annual meeting and we're going to go, rah, 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 we're going to go and grow. But pretty much it's going to be the same old, same old. The management team, the founders, they delude themselves into believing they're marketing materials, believing that they have defined a competitive advantage, although a recent survey shows that the major CEOs of our company's largest companies don't really understand their differential advantage in the marketplace. They can't articulate it. It's pretty much the same old stuff. And what happens? Well, just take a look at the Fortune 500 companies. Only 71 of the Fortune 500 companies today were in the original Fortune 500 mix in 1955. Only 71. Think about the brands you grew up with. I grew up in a little town in southern Missouri. And there was a Montgomery Ward store in the courthouse square. And I used to get so excited, go pick up my packages from my catalog orders at the Montgomery Ward store. And I bet if you talk to anybody under the age of 30, they wouldn't know. Of course, I'm just barely over 30. But under the age of 30, they don't even know what Montgomery Ward is. Also, right on my main street, there was P. and Hirsch, one of the first clothing discounters. It's gone. And what about the Polaroid camera? How cool was that? Wow, you could take a picture and boom, it developed right in front of your eyes. 2001, they went bankrupt. And then we just look at Kodak. Talk about fat, dumb, and happy. Their management team failed to realize that digital photography was the wave of the future. Duh! Bankrupt. The second mindset I see is the company that wants to be the shooting star, the wow factor. We've got to be the next great thing. We got to hit a home run. We got to have that cool gadget. They want to be the next Facebook. You know what happens? Small percentage of them get lucky and they hit that home run. They hit it out of the park. They soar to success. But they don't have the resources to maintain that momentum. So what happens is they fizzle out as fast as they soar to the top. And then the third mindset is what I call the winners. And they're the ones who understand that it's just a noticeable difference. It's the incremental change. It's the mindset of a culture of an organization that says it's the 10% enhancements that we make every day to our product, our service, and our operations. It's the incremental enhancements and changes that culminate to make us a champion team. You don't have to hit a home run every time you go to bat to win the championship. Consistently hitting singles and doubles can make you a winner. And companies who are on top, who build successful, sustainable success, understand that philosophy. Now take a look at Apple computers. I love Apple computers, by the way. And during the height of recession, you could walk into the shopping mall, go past the Apple store, nobody else in the rest of the mall, but the Apple store would be packed. And people would be buying stuff, and not just gadgets and gizmos. I mean armloads of expensive products. Because they have passionate customers. And why? They have passionate customers because they always have the next coolest thing. Apple is a market creator. In 2007, Apple introduced the iPhone. Didn't that change our lives? I don't know what I'd do without my iPhone. They created a marketplace. And I tell you, every version of the iPhone that comes out, people line up waiting for that iPhone. But this last version that came out, rumblings in the market were, really wasn't that great. Being the market creator is a hard position to maintain. On the other hand, look at Samsung. Nothing sexy about Samsung. Pretty boring corporate logo. Go to their website. Nothing grabs you. I don't think people line up for the next cool Samsung thing. But what Samsung does is makes just a noticeable difference. They understand that it's the incremental enhancements of existing technology that gives them the opportunity to capture the win. So while Apple may have created the smartphone marketplace, Samsung now has 32% of the global market share of smartphones versus 12% for Apple. That's a significant difference. And that's the difference just a noticeable difference makes. Now, it's really hard to maintain that mentality in any organization. It's probably easier to look for the wow factor than it is to consistently focus on those incremental changes. Because it's easy, I don't care what size your company is or your own personal career. It's easy to get married to your product or service. But we know, you've heard this before, what got you here today isn't going to get you there tomorrow. What built your success today will not bring you success tomorrow. And if you're married to your product or service, somebody else is going to jump over you. What about Crocs? Anybody here a fan of Crocs? Raise your hands. Come on, I want to see you. Yeah, okay, Crocs, all right? What a cool product that was. I never got it, never really liked them. But a new technology, foam, functional, fashionable, or not so fashionable, foam, functional, affordable footwear. I guess it's a matter of taste. I shouldn't have said that. Affordable, functional, new technology footwear. And not only did it take the marketplace by storm, but they also went beyond conventional wisdom in terms of bringing them to market. They didn't go the usual footwear distribution channels. They went out on their own. They went direct to consumers. They set up kiosks. They were online. They were sold in really exclusive boutiques. There was this cool factor. Ooh, I have Crocs. In fact, it was so hot that just a few years after they launched, they went public. Imagine shoes going public. And then in 2008, when their stock hit $75, their all-time high in October, they hit their plateau. They were a shooting star, and their bottom tanked. Their management team really had three choices at that time. They could try to re-educate the market, re-energize that cool factor. They could put all their resources on coming up with another great big game changer, or they could tweak what they had. They could create a noticeable difference. They chose to listen to the marketplace. They used their core product, the functionality, the comfort, the affordability of what they did, and they tweaked it. And now Crocs offers 300 what they call lifestyle shoes. Everything from leopard print ballet slippers to tennis shoes to foam-bottomed wedgies. They made their best of what they do better because they listened to the market. Just a noticeable difference. So how do you get just a noticeable difference? First of all, you put your ear to the ground and you listen. This doesn't happen in the C-suite. It doesn't happen in your marketing department or your ad agency or your PR firm. It happens by putting your head to the ground and listening to the market, watching market trends, watching your competition. It happens by recognizing the pain points. What's missing? Where's the void in the marketplace? What else can we deliver to our customers and clients that they won't get anywhere else? And then finally, and this is what I always challenge my clients to do, is define your Cherry Garcia. What is it that you can deliver that they can't get anywhere else. What's your Cherry Garcia? So when you go back to your businesses, or you go back to focus on your career, I challenge you to look in the mirror and say, what is it that makes me or my product unique? What's my Cherry Garcia? In today's competitive, fast-paced marketplace, it's not the wow factor. It's the 10% difference. It's just a noticeable difference. Thank you.